Hey, it's Seth with Prudent K9 Training. I wanted to put together another video in my series on tools I use. This one in particular is going to cover the eCollar, the electronic collar. I use it very regularly here. Every board and train that I work will be eCollar trained when they leave. So here's the eCollar that I use. This one in particular is eCollar Technologies, the Mini Educator. The eCollar consists of the remote and the receiver. The way it works is this is placed around the dog's neck, the receiver. These two contact points are pressed against the dog's neck, making contact with the skin, and then the remote here has buttons and a dial which will allow us to determine the level of the stim, and with the press of the button the stim will be sent to the receiver. And the great thing about this is it allows us to have control of our dogs off leash. So dogs can be up to half a mile away, and we still have a means to communicate with our dogs. So that's what makes this tool so fantastic and so effective. Everyone wants that off-leash trained dog, and the eCollar gives us the off-leash trained dog and gives us that control when we need it, despite not being physically right next to our dog. So yeah, the eCollar. So the way I use the eCollar here is at low levels. What I'm looking for when I am working the dog is the lowest number, and in this case the remote goes from 0 to 100. I'm looking for that lowest number that the dog can feel. Nothing that will knock the dog's socks off or just blow their mind. It's just the lowest number that the dog is like, I feel something. So once we find that number, that working level, we're going to take that sensation and we're going to use that with the same concept of the leash and prong, which is pressure on, pressure off, pressure on, pressure off. So when the dog is doing something we don't want them to do, we'll apply that pressure on. Once the dog complies with what we're asking of the dog, pressure off. So we're teaching the dog what the sensation means, because the dog has no idea what that sensation means. So very low levels, just using that sensation for pressure on, pressure off. Generally, when training with it and using the pressure on, pressure off concept, I'll give you an example, like teaching the dog to sit. We'll give the command sit and then apply pressure. Once the dog sits, we release the pressure. So sit, dog sits, release the pressure. So that's the basic idea of how it's used. It's very simple. Just pressure on, pressure off. You're just taking this sensation and you're pairing it with other commands that the dog already knows. So we're taking their commands to the next level and pairing them with the eCollar. And that's just how I use the eCollar here. Higher levels can be used and will be used in particular situations. where the dog could die, or the dog could possibly injure or hurt or kill. So there are 100 levels on this, and you will use them when the situation arises for it, but the majority of the time you're going to be using it at working levels, or at a correction level, which is higher than the working level, but again, nothing that will blow the dog's mind, just a more significant stim than the working level. One other thing to note is the eCollars provide continuous or momentary stims. Momentary being a quick stim, and no matter how long you press the button, it only applies the stim for a second and then ends. Continuous being you press the button, and as long as the button is pressed, the stim is consistently applied until you release the button, or in this case I believe it's a safety feature of 10 seconds it'll turn off, but typically you're not holding the button that long anyways. Anytime I'm using the remote, I'm using continuous because I want to apply pressure and then be in control of releasing the pressure. I think that's basically it for the eCollar. It's just a great tool, very effective, as most of the tools that I use here are. I use the simplest, most effective tools that I can, because that's how I work, and so I want tools that operate in the same fashion, and the eCollar is one of those tools. So yeah, I think that's it. I'll put together more videos on other tools that I use, and continue to add them to this video series. Once again, I'm Seth with Prudent K9 Training, and thank you for watching.